Hello, it's episode 5 of the Dispatch podcast here on Your Experience Guide. I'm Scott, this is Steve, and today we're talking Intamin, my friend.
That's very much my cup of tea.
So in this episode, we have collaborated with Intamin, and later on there will be an interview with Daniel and Sasha from Intamin, who talk all about the process of building a new roller coaster, working with their clients, and many more things that will hopefully be interesting to everyone that watches. But firstly, before we get to that, we're just going to talk about why we like Intamin. So I'm going to go straight to you on this one, mate.
I just think that Intamin are just really innovative with their roller coasters. They've always pushed the limits. So they were the first to put in the LSM launch with Superman Escape that went over, I think that was the first coaster to go over 100 miles an hour, if I remember correctly. Even though it's only a shuttle coaster, it was innovation in the industry, and now they've managed to condense that technology down into like Velocicoaster essentially. They've taken that and made it better. And I find that everything they've done, they've always done good and enhanced it and made it better. And like you look at like Velocicoaster now compared to like the other launch coasters, it's a fantastic roller coaster. All of their LSM launch coasters, the modern ones, all of them are fantastic. They've really hit the perfection spot with that. I think also they were quite innovative with the hydraulic launch coasters as well. So they kind of came in the early to mid noughties with Rita, Stealth, and of course some of the bigger ones they did, such as Top Thrill Dragster and King Dakar. They're just massive, exciting roller coasters to go on, and to be accelerated from 0 to 120 miles an hour in less than like 4 seconds is just like mind-blowing. Particularly Top Thrill Dragster, the launch was relatively short. So to be able to launch that, 10-ton train to 120 miles an hour hundreds of times a day just blows my mind. It's just fantastic.
What a coaster that was, eh?
It was good.
I have got a fantastic clip of you on that for your first go on the front row.
Yeah, I was nervous.
I know. I remember, because I remember as it rolled into the launch, you're giving it, oh my God. And then just as it launches, big intake of breath, you and Stuz, and then boosh, it goes.
The thing is, because I've worked on Rita a very long time, I kind of know mechanically what's going on. So as soon as it kind of started to roll back and dog in, make them limit switches, I'm like, we're going now. As soon as that brakes dropped down, it was like, oh, it was an amazing roller coaster.
It's just, they were the roller coaster of that time. When you think about, obviously, you got Accelerator at Knott's.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got Top Thrill, Stealth, which I know that it's not the same height as King Dakar and Top Thrill Dragster were, but it still packs a punch on that launch. It is a damn good roller coaster, Stealth.
Yeah, Stealth is a fantastic example of a hydraulic launch coaster that still exists to this day. So make sure you get on it and give it a go, because I even get a little bit nervous sat in the front row of Stealth when I just know it's going to be an intense, fast accelerating launch. Again, it's a short launch.
Yes.
So it really is maxed out on the hydraulics there to just really give it a good kick to get it over that top hat. So it pushes you back in the seat more than a lot of the LSM coasters do nowadays.
The thing with Stealth is obviously you've got that initial launch, but that bit where it just comes off the launch and goes up into the top hat is so forceful. You could just feel like all of the forces on your body so much at that point. And it's just like, I don't know how I used to lap that when I was younger, because when I see it with, it's very rare it's walk on, but if I ever see it with like a 10-minute queue, I'm like, do you know what? This is it. I'm going to do Stealth loads now.
Exactly.
And then you do it once or twice and it's like, right, too old for this.
I'll go again. I'll ride Stealth all day. I love it. I love Rita as well. I think they're both great roller coasters. I think Rita does get a lot more hate for it because it's not as tall. But if you take that ride for the G-forces, it is actually quite good. Just don't go for thinking, it's a tall roller coaster, because it's not a tall roller coaster. It is only a small roller coaster due to the limit to the park. And I think they've done really good. I particularly like where they kind of had to fit it in over the corkscrew.
Yes.
And you know where I'm on about the end, where it goes into the trim brake.
Yes.
You do get some really good airtime when you go into that. So, people who say, there's no airtime, it doesn't do anything. It definitely does every ride on that, even when it's only been me on it with one other person, because we used to do staff rides on it. Yeah. It was literally like still ejector airtime going into that the trim brake. So yeah, I think that they're just really innovative. Particularly my experience of like Intamin from another angle with looking after 13. They're just really simple and easy to maintain, essentially. Like the hydraulics are quite complicated, but like mechanically on the trains, they're just so easy and straightforward on a mechanical basis to keep going and maintain, take apart. It was 3 weeks to strip down and rebuild a train, so you can't really argue with that.
That's a quick turnaround.
It
Really.
is a quick turnaround on there. Like it's not, we're experienced people on there, so we do it pretty quick. But 3 weeks to like take it to component level. A week to inspect. I've taken that week of inspection time out though because we're not really doing anything. No. But like a week to get it inspected and then 2 weeks to put back together. So it's I think they're really good, really well designed for engineers. So which really helps with the maintenance side of things as well.
What I like about Intamin is they kind of reinvented their own wheel. They had a style of launch coaster.
Yeah.
And then in the early 2010s, obviously they started to develop a new system. Taron was born, and then from there it's been like a knock-on effect of so many awesome new roller coasters. Because I remember, like, obviously there was so many. Like you'd open Coaster Force in the 2000s, it'd be like, this park's building an Intamin, this park's building an Intamin, and it was always like either a hydraulic launch coaster or it was a totally new idea that we'd never seen done before, and it was just like, where are they getting these ideas from? But then when you go on these coasters, like, they're just so good. Like there's two Intamin coasters which are rarely spoken about by us Brits because it's not like in a traditional Florida Park, Cedar Point, Six Flags. And it's the two at Hershey when you've got Storm Runner and Fahrenheit. And I wasn't expecting anything from those coasters. I just thought Storm Runner is just going to be another Rita. I thought Fahrenheit, it looked a bit like Colossus at Fort meets a Eurofighter with its vertical lift hill. They were both exceptional. Two of the best coasters on the America trip I did last year. And the way I look at it is like, no matter what generation of Intamin coaster you do, you will always find a good one. It's like, oh, okay, I found an Intamin from 2004, let's say, and you think, oh, this might not be as good as, say, Velocicoaster, and then you go on it, and it's like, do you know what? For its time, that's excellent. And there's a lot of those. There is a lot of those classic Intamins out there that you do that you might have forgotten about, or you just go, oh, that's completely got over my head that this was here now because it's been there for so long, and then you do it, and it's just really good.
Yeah, for instance, like one that I kind of had, I wasn't expecting much from was Insane at Gronerland, the Zach spin, and that was just something I've never experienced before, never experienced anything like it since. And to be honest, I really enjoyed it. Yeah. I thought it was a cracking little coaster. I'd love to go on it again.
I thought I'd hate it.
Yeah,
I genuinely thought I would hate that, and it was. I remember, like, we went on it, and everyone else in the group that went on it, and everyone was smiling and laughing and like, what on earth have we just done?
Exactly. It's just really good fun. And I think that's the key that Intamin get right is they make fun rides.
Yeah, they do.
So it's very rare I come off an Intamin and go, oh, that wasn't very good. Like, they're all fantastic. Like, every Intamin roller coaster or even flat rides, like even like the Drunken Barrel rides, which is one of their early ride models, where you sit in the barrel and it's on almost like a hydraulic ram that lifts it up to a tilt. Yeah. Drayton Manor have a great example of one of these, and even that's a fun ride. Like you come off and you can't walk after it if you've been proper spinning it. Like fantastic, and obviously we can't talk about Intamin and not talk about the drop towers.
Well, I had something else in mind, but yeah, the drop towers are sensational. I mean, first time in Apocalypse. What a day.
Exactly. To be fair, I think Apocalypse is the best example they ever had of a giant drop model. And I think that the loss of having the stand-up with the floor, because that was intense. It's better than the floorless, in my opinion. And the stand-up with the floor was next level, and it's a shame that's no longer available. Most of the giant drops don't have that particular setup favouring the floorless and the sit-down types. I think there's one in France still. It's a relatively new one, I believe, as well. So.
We going?
I would, just to relive like going on a stand-up with the floor.
I really like their drop towers, and I do still get terrified by the standing floorless ones because even though you know that they are safe, you've still got that just thought in your head of, I am literally being held at like 300 foot by a bicycle seat. It's just like, and then it tilts forward and then you think, right, okay, so the bicycle seat's got it easy now, but this restraint's got all of my large weight leaning on it. Yeah. And they are some of the only rides that can still terrify me, absolutely.
But they've taken that and enhanced it. So now they have the sky jumps. So, and to be fair, even though the sky jumps are essentially sitting down, I think they're fantastic. Like, I do get very nervous when you tilt that 90 degrees at the top of Falcon's Fury or Icarus. To be fair, I think Icarus is probably the more intense of the two. If you put a clip of that, because it was, I was scared. I was scared on that, and it was fantastic. Yeah, I was. Like, you could kind of see me getting a little bit nervous at the top. I think my face starts to pull funny faces.
I think we did both look like baked beans at the top, bright red faces.
It was really good though, and that's another example of like just Intamin's innovation of taking a really good idea and just making it better. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next.
Absolutely. So it's time to hear from Daniel and Sasha from Intamin, who have always been great to me personally and to Pleasure Beach Experience, and now your experience guide. So let's hear from Intamin.
My name is Sasha Cibulka. I'm Executive Vice President and I'm working in sales at Intamin, also handle some other matters such as contractual things, so legal portion and a few other tasks.
My name is Daniel Schoppen. I'm Vice President Design and Development, and together with the team we are designing all the great roller coaster and water ride layouts.
How much precision planning is required in roller coaster design, especially for features like switch tracks and multi-directional launches?
Typically a roller coaster design is a very linear process. So the train runs forwards, you go to a top speed, then you go over figures. So you are adding block after block. It's a very simplistic process. When it comes to switch track, this goes completely to a different level, because with a switch track you will bring in an additional element which you also have control with a precision timing. On top, you also need to see where is the train and where are the other trains. So it's more block timing when you do those layouts than anything else. A lot of calculation is involved. We need to see where we are placing the boosters or the linear motors. We need to see where we are placing the brakes. And we also need to have an understanding how much time the switch needs to move from position A to position B. Because in our layouts, typically the train comes in with speed and we are launching. Then we are moving the switch, launching backward and so on. So it's a lot of more precision which you have to put into the layout, much more checks, timing checks, as if you do a straightforward linear layout.
Are you able to discuss any new projects that Intamin are currently working on, particularly those set to open in 2025?
When it comes to projects we are currently working on, basically almost everything we're doing is connected with confidentiality, respectively, non-disclosure agreement. So we cannot talk about anything which is not public knowledge yet. So that's why our answer would rather focus on what is going to see daylight and allow guests to experience and being excited and entertained in 25. And this year will be a quite busy year for us when it comes to opening. One major project, actually the largest in Intamin's history, the Falcon's flight at Six Flags Qiddiya. We just started with the commissioning of the ride, and opening is expected within this year. At Six Flags Qiddiya we have two other rides, another linear motor powered coaster, an LSM launch coaster, and a observation attraction, namely a flying island. In the Middle East itself, we do have a few more projects, a hubless wheel, where we cannot reveal the client, respectively the destination at this point of time. And then in Korea, a coaster wheel, which we very much look forward to, 45 meter in diameter. And a ride which is, and that may be a little bit awkward, one of my favorites within the entire Intamin portfolio, It's the gyro swing, which, and this is not my quote, the best round ride in the world. And it is an absolutely fantastic ride. And we will have another one opening later this year in fall in Australia at Dreamworld. And then we have two more coasters, both in the US, where I would like to hand over to Dani.
Yeah, one of those is a quantum race or quantum accelerator going to Six Flags New England. It's the first straddle coaster system in the US, not for the United Parks groups. And we are really looking forward to it. The task was very challenging to design the layout and to bring it to life, because we only got the size of a giant inverted boomerang. And normally a straddle coaster is spreading over the area, very low to ground, near misses, etc., etc. So here this was a super challenge designing it, but we came up with a very compact but still high pacing layout. So we are going up to 72 kilometers per hour. We have approximately 25 dynamic elements, 11 times airtime, and everything together only on a track length of 800 meters. So here we are really looking forward to, and this ride is pacing until the finale. So it was designed to squeeze out everything what you can squeeze out of a layout. The other coaster we are doing for the US is the Ultra Surf. The design is a little bit inspired from the Surf Rider, but this ride was designed completely from scratch. So a new layout, a new train, a new station, a much powerful drive system, and what this thing is doing. So we are sitting on a surfboat riding the wave. There's also an airtime hill in the middle, and we have two ramps left and right. And from there we are accelerating the train forward, backward, forward, and on top the gondola can spin. And here we increased the seating capacity of the train from 12 to 20 people. So 10 people are sitting next to each other on a circular gondola. Free spinning, including also spin incitation. As well, we are going to a speed here of 95 kilometers per hour. And every time we are then bypassing the airtime hill, we have up to -1G uplifting airtime, which is really great. Together also in combination with the spinning. The ride itself is 60 seconds. We are running approximately 800 meters, but the ride itself is very compact. And 60 seconds of riding the wave, riding the fun. Let's see.
Yeah, I'd like to actually add something regarding the Ultra Surf in connection with the Surf Rider. It's this typical question, what was first, the chicken or the egg? Because you said actually it's entirely new developed, right, which is absolutely the case. However, it was triggered by the Surf Rider development or by the feedback we got from clients who were very, very interested in the Surf Rider. And why am I saying were and not are? Simply because of the low capacity. The Surf Rider had, as Danny already said before, 12 passengers. So 2 times 6. Everyone loves the ride experience. The fact that every ride is different depending on the number of passengers on the gondolas, whether they are moving their legs, so that everything has an influence on the rotation of the cabins. And the only downside was, well, the hourly capacity, something around 300, 350, realistic, real capacity, not the theoretical. We go for the Surf Rider, but with higher capacity. And that actually has triggered this, okay, we have to redesign everything. And at the same time, when we started this process, then also came the idea of how can we prolong the ride experience and also add a little bit more action compared to the Surf Rider experience, where it's a back and forth in a U-shape or omega shape arrangement. So that is the story. And then now coming back to the Surf Rider and to the interest, we are working currently on 2 new Surf Rider projects, and pretty confident that more will follow, because it is a very compact, so very little space consuming, great roller coaster attraction.
What is the planning process for purchasing an Intamin product, such as a custom roller coaster? For instance, does Intamin approach a customer, or does the customer approach Intamin, or could it be a case of both? And what steps are involved once a park decides to purchase your product, including lead times, design processes, and so on?
The question, who is coming? Is it us coming to the client, or is it the client coming to us? Definitely both. We can now argue what happens more often, that we approach clients or clients approach us. I would say that 2/3 it is like that we are approached by a client, and the other third is where we are reaching out and introduce products which we think would be a good fit, complementing the existing lineup. When it comes to totally new developments, we are obviously depending on the type of development, but in most of the cases, we are part of the development, and very often, because there are already existing relationships to the people working on the project, or just sheer because of our reputation, I mean, which is also an important factor. We are known for certain rides and certain product groups, and so this is to answer the question, who is coming to whom. Now let's focus a little bit on the question, well, how does the process work? And I would start with an existing park, because this is the more typical example. Parks normally do have a long-term capital investment plan. It's not like they wake up in one day in the morning and say, hey, what are we going to do next year or in 2 years? It is, the decisions are placed in most of the cases on plans, which doesn't mean that plans cannot be changed. Then depending on market surveys, or depending on park-specific plannings, it is determined what kind of attraction are we going to have next. And then very often, or in all cases, not only very often, it also comes down to the available budget. How much do we want to spend? How much can we afford to spend? And so on and so on. And then, if someone does the due diligence, so to say, based on the type of attraction that was defined in this internal process, they are then, the client is then looking at, well, who can deliver such an attraction? Also, here we can differentiate between something totally new or something existing, which eventually would need to be adapted to meet or fit the needs and everything. Or, and those are also possible, something which has been done exactly the same way before. So those are very generally the three possible approaches. And then the park is reaching out to those potential vendors. So it's not like that the park decides before approaching us, well, we will purchase an Intamin coaster, for instance. It would be very nice, but this is not necessarily how the whole process works. And so once we are aware of a new investment, we then ask our typical questions, such as, what is the available area? What kind of ride? What is the target group? Are there any restrictions within the available area? Are there any restrictions we have to consider when it comes to height restrictions, when it comes to noise level restrictions because of residential neighbors, and so on and so on and so on. And once all those questions have been clarified, then, and let's take, since we have Daniel here, a roller coaster as an example, then Danny and his team, they start developing a layout. Now, in the case that the client wants something not existing, either because the site does not allow for something existing or because the park wants to differentiate themselves a little bit. And so that's the beginning of the process. And then we present the result of our work in this phase. Best case is the client saying exactly what I was looking for, what I was dreaming of, and we then can start negotiating the contract, terms, and so on, and finally end up executing. Or, well, very good start, but I would like to have this changed a little bit, this tweaked a little bit, and so on. So let's call it fine-tuning. And then in some cases, we are also facing tough and stiff competition. And everyone wants to obviously get the contract. So competition is good because it keeps us awake and every time thinking, what can we do better? And yeah, so this in short, brief words, if you so want, how this process normally works.
Once the client, for example, decided for a roller coaster, for a specific roller coaster layout, the contract is signed, we, from the design department, are handing over our idea to the project management team. Project management in this context means there's one project manager responsible for the whole upcoming process. It's also the contact person for the client. And typically, the process starts with engineering process. So you have to engineer finalizing the layout first, then you're doing static calculations. You are also looking if you have a new train, if there's an existing one or one you have to redesign or completely design from scratch. And so there are a lot of aspects in the design and engineering you have to follow up. Once everything is more or less pretty far from the mechanical system, you are also entering the ride control. So we have a partner with whom we are working on the ride control system close together, because the ride control guiding later fully automatically the roller coaster has to be engineered and planned too. And once the engineering is over, it will also be accompanied by third-party reviews or discussions with the client, discussions with the engineers working for the client, for example, designing the foundation. We go to the phase where we are really starting to manufacturing. So doing welding the tracks together, the columns, building the trains, doing the parts for the trains, assemble the trains, etc., etc. And overall, everything is shipped to site. And typically for a roller coaster, because it's a huge assembly you have to perform, everything is assembled for the first time on site. So a roller coaster is a unique sculpture, a unique track layout. The tracks as well as the columns are bolted together on site for the first time. The trains are shipped in, you're putting the trains on, you're putting the drive system on. The electric guys are coming, tweaking out the parameters for the ride control, because also they can test the product for the first time and the performance of the product also on site. And finally, when everything is together, there's also a third-party review. And for sure, the goal for us is to produce a ride which is well working, which is creating fun, but which is also fulfilling the highest safety standards where we are complying to. And from there on, the ride is ready to get opened by the audience.
Yeah, talking about lead times, obviously the lead time is defined by the type of ride and by the size of the project. To give you a rough idea, because it was mentioned earlier, Falcon's Flight Coaster being the largest project Intamin has executed so far, the total lead time is over 3 years. From contract signature until the handover and then public opening. There are projects which even can have a longer lead time, especially when it comes to, Daniel mentioned before, a new train which has to be engineered, that is not done within just a few weeks. So the lead time in general is defined by, I would say, 4 segments. First is the design and engineering. Second is production. Third is installation. And the last one is commissioning and testing, together with third-party on-site approval, if this is required. And for a standard roller coaster, standard, what is standard? But let's say something with a track length of anywhere between 500, 800, 900 meters in this magnitude, the minimum lead time is 2 years. And then obviously another factor which has or can have an impact on the lead time is the destination. I mentioned before the gyro swing for Dreamworld in Australia. Just the shipping of the equipment from Europe to Australia takes 2 months. And that also then has to be considered when it comes to determining the total lead time. Thank you, Scott, for taking the time to allow us talking to you and to your audience at your experience guide. And I hope you will have the opportunity to ride many, many Intamin rides in 2025 and beyond.
Thank you too.
Big thank you to Daniel, Sasha, and of course the team at Intamin, especially Luke and Michelle. I just want to say as well that every time I've been to an IAAPA Expo since 2018, Intamin have been incredible with me. They've always made me feel very, very welcome in their booth. Not just us, but their fans in general. Like, you look at other videos on YouTube, they've recently worked with Coaster Studios. They've got all sorts of different stuff that they do with enthusiasts throughout the year. They have enthusiast events, and, you know, it's like they are very much part of what people would call the community, because they get involved with people, they do events, collaborations, they speak to people at IAAPA, and so they don't just build great roller coasters, they are in fact great people as well.
Yeah, they are fantastic. They make fantastic rides, and they're fantastic people to talk to as well. Like I just enjoyed the knowledge, and they're so welcoming when we did see them in person. So yeah, thank you. Great.
Yeah, because that was your first experience of an IAAPA Expo, and I remember like coming away from it after day one, and you were like buzzing because you'd had like an hour in the Intamin booth looking at all the products on their interactive machine. And
I particularly enjoyed the water ride stuff, which I didn't know about. I didn't know, and it was all new to me. I was like, "Oh, this looks really cool. We need to see some of these."
Yeah, absolutely. It was, for me, that was probably one of the highlights of last year for me, was that interaction of Intamin, where we were speaking to people that actually build these attractions as well, and it was just like, I could probably make a whole video about how much I appreciate everyone at Intamin. But now let's talk about how much we appreciate their rides, and we're going to do kind of like a collaborative top 10 here. So we're not just going to go through them like 1 to 10. We're going to talk about them stage by stage.
Can we start at number 1?
No, we're going to start at number 10. Going to make this really difficult. While you think about yours, in 10th place, Furious Baco. Moment silence.
I'm trying to. I was prepared to do it the other way around.
Oh dear. Well, while you have, do you want the notebook?
No, because it's not going to help me.
Furious Baco, it gets a lot of hate, and I understand that people don't like it because it's intense. I will always maintain that I don't think it's rough. I think it's intense. It does vibrate. Don't get me wrong. It does have vibrations, but it's not rough. It doesn't sort of bash your head in. I've never understood the logic of calling it Furious Backache, because I don't think it gets to your back. If it's going to do anything, it'll give you a headache. But for me, like, how good the hydraulic launch is outweighs any of its problems. It's just the power in that launch, and considering it takes you upwards as well, it's just... I remember the first time I did that, and I think it was about 2009, and it had opened 2 years before, and all I'd seen online is how terrible it was. So when I went on it, I remember going on it with my dad, and we sat there in the front row, and my brother was there as well on the other side, or whatever order we were sat in. And I remember saying to them both before we got on it, this is going to be rubbish. Everyone says it's rubbish. And my dad was like, how about let's wait and see until we've been on it. And then when the three of us came off it and we were like, should we go again? And my mum doesn't go on coasters, and like not big coasters anyway, and she's just sat there going, are you going on it again? And I'm like, yeah, it's like the 8th or 9th time now. It was just like, we're just lapping it. The good thing was it was a November weekday, so the park was dead. So we were just lapping it. So have you thought about it yet?
It is a tough one. I know what my number one is, and I know they don't want to. I think for 10, I think it's going to have to be one of the hydraulic launch roller coasters. So I'm going to throw in Stealth at Fort Park. I think it's a fantastic launch, short and sweet, does what you want from a roller coaster. So
it is in mine. I was just checking where. Number 9 for me is Storm Runner, Hershey Park. Quality coaster, good launch. It's not too different to what we've done before in terms of hydraulic coasters, but it just packs a bit of a punch. It's got air time, it's got hang time, some good snappy inversions. It's got a short layout, but the launch was good, and it's got a dual station as well. But for me, I just liked it when you roll out and you hear the hydraulic fins or whatever it is drop, the brake fins drop, and it's just like, yeah, I'm on an Intamin.
It kind of builds up that excitement, doesn't it, on that one? Doesn't it say something like, get ready, here we go, or something?
Yeah,
off you go.
Yeah, I'm on an Intamin. It's like when we were walking down to that area, there's like on the left there's a Vekoma Boomerang, and I was joking about saying, oh, it's the best ride in the park, and what I didn't realise is that one of the best rides in the park is actually next to that Vekoma Boomerang, and it is Storm Runner, because like I say, when you're walking along and you hear the fins drop on an Intamin hydraulic launch, you're like, I know that's going to be a good ride.
Number 9, I'm going to throw in as Dalton Drop.
Throw me off it. Oh,
yeah.
Dalton Terror.
The one I got stuck in. Dalton Terror.
Do you want me to put the picture on where you got stuck in it?
Oh, dear. That was funny.
I definitely won't have put the picture in by this point. Well, I might have done.
It's got to be there, isn't it?
Here it is.
But, that was such a laugh. And to be fair, for a sit-down drop tower, it's actually quite tall. You get a great view of the surrounding area. And I got stuck on it, so...
I can just see it on my phone now, like it's in my head. Thinking
to be fair, there's nothing wrong with the ride. It's just that they had a very keen ride operator who had made the seatbelt so tight, and I didn't undo it before the hydraulics for the restraint released, so it becomes tighter, and you just couldn't clip it to undo it. So that was my bad. But I didn't expect him to release like immediately as it got down. So.
The best part of it is like, obviously you've got 4 seats across and you're just sat there in the middle seat and the other 3 with the restraints up, and those 3 ladies were waiting to sit down, and they just all stood there with their hands on their hips like, what is this guy doing? I was like, oh, he's just having a protest, he wants a re-ride. I think I probably made it worse saying that because I was trying to be funny, but obviously we weren't in the UK, so they probably just thought, what are these idiots doing?
But yeah, it was a fantastic drop tower.
Number 8 is Conda, or Condor, however you pronounce it.
Okay.
Wallaby, Belgium. It's got a great first drop. It's got great airtime. Make sure your pockets are zipped and don't do what the guy in front of us did where his phone went flying off behind us.
Yeah, there's a lot of airtime on it.
Yeah, especially for an iPhone. So yeah, keep everything tucked in your pockets. What's your number 8 then? It's not Valhalla. Is it?
It is Valhalla.
Why did I think it might be that?
So Valhalla is obviously one of the water rides that Intamin develop. It's actually at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, which we go to regularly. Now, I don't ride it regularly because, unfortunately, the weather in Blackpool is often in single digits. So. But when it is a nice day, Valhalla is a fantastic dark ride, water ride experience. I really like the original version with the backwards drop, to be fair, quite a lot. I know they have changed that now, so it's a little bit different to when it first opened. But like having the backwards drop and all the switch moving tracks back in the day, I really enjoyed, and I did enjoy the drops as well and the special effects. So, yeah.
I was only joking when I said Valhalla.
No, it was actually Valhalla.
Do you know what's funny though? We've both got different ideas on this top 10. I was going with coasters.
Oh, okay. I'm going for everything. The whole portfolio.
To be fair, I am a coaster person more than anything else. But if I'd have done like a generic sort of all Intamin stuff, there'd have probably been a few gyro swings in there. Yeah. Number 7 for me is a ride we've already discussed, and it's Stealth. Yeah. I do love the launch, but I just can't hack it constantly anymore. I think it's obviously, I've had lung surgery, so I think that the intake of breath as it launches, I just can't hack it more than once or twice. But it is an incredible coaster, and I still wish that Blackpool had got one in the 2000s. Like, it didn't have to be the tallest. I just think it would have been amazing. Like, I like Icon, but I would have loved to have seen one over the Tom Sawyer Bridge. I think it would have been incredible.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially if they'd gone like 350 in height wise. Didn't have to be the tallest in the world, but it would have been incredible.
It would have been great to see something like that at Blackpool. To be fair, those coasters anywhere they went, they were pretty good. So
crowd pleasers. That's the thing, they are crowd pleasers. And that's the thing that always shocked me with Kingdom Car, is that they didn't have a viewing area.
Yeah.
Because I was stunned by that when we went to Six Flags, because I was like, where's the viewing area? Why am I not being able to watch people getting launched on this thing?
Yeah.
But yeah, I found that a bit weird, to be honest.
Yeah, because you kind of walk down towards the drop tower, but it's kind of the trees kind of block
Yeah.
the view, don't they? So it was a shame.
Number 7.
Number 7. It's in my head. Loki.
The gyro.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I really, really enjoyed it. And it was such a big step. So we talk about them innovating. We've done Maelstrom, Drayton, which is one of the earlier gyro swings, but Loki's next level. Like, it's clear they've taken that and made it better. And they really have made it better. Like, Loki's fantastic. So that's number 7 for me.
Excellent. Number 6 for me is a coaster that we did on the opening day, 2 Tatis, Park Asterix. Nearly said Park Warner. Park Asterix. Great coaster, forwards launches, backwards launches, airtime, hang time, incredible capacity, incredible area, which obviously is Park Asterix work, but just generally speaking, absolutely incredible innovation of that technology that they've got. It's just, they took the Taron concept and they made it better, and wow, I'd love to go on it again. I think that backwards launch with the airtime is just absolutely incredible. And what I like about it is obviously everyone for years wanted rollbacks on these launch coasters. Now you get one as part of the package. You get one every time, and it never gets boring. It's great coaster.
It's very clever because it enhances, like, you can make your layout shorter, save some money on construction costs, and still keep that thrill.
Yeah.
So you get that rollback. I think that the 2 Tatis isn't actually in my list, unfortunately. But I really enjoyed the backwards airtime you get. It just blew my mind, and even though it's not in the top 10, if I was doing purely coasters, it would be easily, because I'm trying to keep it pretty varied. But like, if you said to me, Steve, let's go on it, I'd be like, let's go.
Come on, let's go.
It's fantastic.
We're off. See you later. We're going France, and we're going to do that drop tower.
Yes.
Feel like we're planning a road trip here. But with my track record of things getting closed forever when I plan anything, I'm going to have to do everything on impulse going forward.
Seems to be the way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Number 6 then.
Number 6, Zumanjaro, which was attached to the side of King Dakar. Now, unfortunately, it's not looking like it's going to be around much longer. I did actually look. It is still there at the moment, but I'm guessing over the next few days that might well change. But it's a double screamer.
Yeah, literally.
So when it drops, like you scream, you're like, ah. It just keeps on going. And when you're at the top, it's like, this is really, really quite tall. Like, it is, you really feel the height on it when you're up there. So, that's one of my favourite drop towers out there. So
I just remember, like, when we're going up to the top on that, and I was quite calm. I was really calm about it, We've only got a lap bar, and I was like, taking in the views, and there's King Dakar. This is great going up here. And then it just kept going and going, and then it went past the spiral on King Dakar, and that's when I got nervous. I went, we're really high here. I don't know about this. I was like, can somebody just bring it down slowly, please? It felt like we were at the top forever as well. And imagine what it would have been like to do it when they started launching King Dakar with it as well.
Imagine when you being hoisted up, and then the sway you would have got from the steel would have been quite crazy. But I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a fantastic ride, and that's a memory that will be in my head forever. Yes. So I'll never forget that.
Number 5 is Taron. Probably a bit higher than you might have expected, but I do really like Taron. I remember when we did it last year in the morning, and it was a little bit like, oh, this is not aged well compared to the newer Intamin stuff. And then when you went on it later in the day, it was like, oh yeah, this is warmed up now. I've still never been to Phantasialand on like in a summer's day. I've only ever been in the winter or the autumn. So I might go in the summer and actually experience Taron on a partially sunny day and try and experience it at somewhere near its best and just see just how good it is. And I do love the noises it makes when it launches. It's just, because of obviously it's just so boxed in by the theming, it's just got that growly noise when it launches with the Intamin launch sound. And I'm going to put a clip in of it. It's got to be done, hasn't it? Fantastic coaster, Taron. Great noises, great ride, great airtime. Watch the POV on the channel. It's a good one. Just a quick plug there. What's your number 5?
Right, guys, I'm really sorry, but it's going into another drop tower, and this one is Hurricane Condor at Portaventura.
I always get moved on it.
I don't know why. To be fair, like I'd been on it quite a few times last trip.
Yeah.
And then you came on with me and we all got moved.
It's like even Jimmy got moved. It's like, what's going on here?
Don't know why we all got moved. But it's so that's one of the giant drop rides. And to be fair, when you're on like the flawless side, particularly on that thing, you do feel quite exposed, and
Yes.
it's very tall. So you're looking out and it's like, yeah, like this is, and there's quite the theming element on top of the tower is quite large as well.
Yeah, it is.
I always kind of think, oh, it's quite quirky. Very kind of like when you're on those kind of tower rides, so you have the camera photo opportunity, and you always know when you're at the top because you'll be like looking like, oh, this is high, and the camera just comes into view, and you're like, right, we're there now.
First time I did Apocalypse, I thought that the cameras sort of came down like automatically. I didn't realise we were still going up.
Yeah.
Because I remember saying to someone after it done, I was like, oh, they're dead cheeky bringing the cameras down like that. They're like, oh no, that was you still going upwards. Yeah, I do like Hurricane Condor, but for whatever reason, I've been told a million times I'm too tall for it, which is odd because there's people that I've been on who are taller than me. So, I don't know. Maybe I don't even know if it's a weight thing because when we went in 2023, I'd actually been on a bit of a health kick for a few weeks before. Oh, I don't know.
We all got moved. So
Yeah, that's me. It was just broken.
But yeah, I in 23 I did the flawless side and the sit down tilt. And I'll be honest, the sit down tilt's quite strange. I've not really done that one before. You don't get to choose where you go on Condor, unfortunately. So it is like luck of the draw, unfortunately. But yeah, I still think that no matter what side you go to, it's still pretty good. So I'm not too fussed where I go. To be fair, I kind of sometimes quite think I've relieved when it's not the flawless because that is quite scary. So it's like, you're not on the flawless this time. Oh, I can relax a bit.
Well, number 4, we're staying in Spain, and this might raise some eyebrows, but I just think it's a great adrenaline rush, and it's Red Force Ferrari Land. I just love the launch. It's just so good.
I was going to say Red Force as well.
Oh, there we go.
Number 4, Red Force.
Yeah, number 4. I think it often gets hate because it's in Ferrari Land, but it is right adrenaline rush, that launch. And it's like, for me, I always enjoy going on it with someone that's not been on it before. Like, for example, last September, me and Matt did it, and we kind of got lucky and got front row. And I remember Matt being stood in the air gates, and he was like really buzzing about it. And then I thought, I hope he enjoys this now. And then he absolutely loved it. And then just when you go on one of those coasters and everyone's enjoying themselves, it just heightens the enjoyment for you as well. It's infectious.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I really enjoyed about it was the viewing area. You can actually watch the ride go in. The sound it makes, it sounds like a racing car when it goes just from the sound of the LSM motors. And also, I was very impressed with how good the magnetic launch was, and that was the first experience I had of the new drive technology, and it blew my mind because I was like, that's not far off a hydraulic launch when I did Red Force. I don't know if it's because the train is smaller, but it was really punchy. I was impressed. I was like, you know what, this is the future of like roller coasters essentially, and we can see that now with Falcon's Flight that's being built, and the launch systems they've got on that to get it up to its how fast that's going to go now? I can't remember off the top of my head. It's
Silly speed.
going to be the fastest in the world, I believe.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's-
Fastest in the world, longest coaster in the world, I think, and highest in the world. It's got literally every record it can, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
To be fair, I'd love to experience it. It looks like a great roller coaster.
I'm sure it'll happen at some point, whether it'll be this year or next, I don't know. I genuinely speaking, I don't think it'll be this year. I mean, I think it might open this year, but whether I'll get there or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, Red Force was the first like modern Intamin launch that I did. I did it before Taron, because I thought that noise had been, like the launch noise was specifically designed for Red Force to sound like an F1 car. Because I was like, oh, they've made it sound like an F1 car, and I was dead excited about it. And then the following year, went to Fantasyland. I'm like, oh, recognise that noise. So
Yeah, no, it's good. And I think like the sound like enhances it gets towards the end. Like obviously it's all technical. Like I don't think I was actually sat down and gone, let's see if we can make that
obviously
launch
not.
sound that way.
I mean,
Like, it's just the
Taron
way it
came
does
before it, so. But honestly, what a ride! It's like the airtime over the top. I don't know why they didn't put an airtime hill in at the end, but it's still a great coaster. Absolutely, I think it gets overlooked because it is in Ferrari land and it's the expensive, controversial second park and everything. But end of the day, it's still a fantastic coaster in my opinion.
yeah.
Number 3, we won't be sharing this one, I'm afraid. I don't think you've done it unless you've been to Finland.
I've not been to Finland, so
It's Tiger, Linnanmäki. This was a tough choice. This top 3. Tiger is absolutely sensational. I was watching the Coaster Studios video yesterday about Intamin, and I was watching his footage of Tiger and that, and I was like, I might have to go back and do that again. The issue is it is always expensive to get to Finland, but for me, I think it's worth it because I honestly think you'd really like that coaster. So we might have to do it.
you know what? Like I've seen coasters before that I've not really had the urge to go and do, and they've actually been amazing, as we'll find out a little bit later in this list. But yeah, I think I do need to jump on that one and see, because I kind of thought, it's going to be very much like Taron. That as much as Taron is a great roller coaster, it's not quite in my top 10. I feel it's a big stepping stone to where Intamin are now, though. And I fully appreciate it. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic roller coaster, but they've made so many really good rides that it's hard to select them all. So
yeah, we did actually do a video last January, as in last year, about is Taron still good? So I will link that in the top of the screen, because I think we quite enjoyed filming that one. And we said we'd make more videos like that, but for whatever reason we didn't. But I'm sure it'll happen this year. What's your number 3?
So my number 3 is, drumroll, Velocicoaster.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I know what your number 1's going to be. I can't believe it.
He does as well.
I am stunned. I thought it'd be your number 1.
Yeah.
Are you sure about this? Like,
100%. I'm going off ride hardware here, and I've always said that there's stronger ride hardware out there. However, Velocicoaster is very much the full package. And if you take Velocicoaster as like the theming and the whole experience, it is very clearly a number 1 for me. Like, it would be my top ride as a whole package. And when it comes to coasters and other rides, it doesn't quite get there, but it is still extremely good. It's a fantastic roller coaster, fantastic launches, fantastic ride experience. Don't get me wrong, it's fantastic. I love it, but there's other Intamins out there.
I'm just thinking of your reaction on the brake run every time we've been on it.
Yeah.
And you're there like celebrating like England have just won the World Cup or something.
Yeah.
Wow. Stunned. Right, number 2. I can't believe it. Batman Gotham City Escape Part 1. I really, really had to think about where this was going to go. I did consider this to be the number 1 for a long time. The only reason I think it's number 2 for me and not number 1 is purely because the actual experience of queuing for it is awful. And it's the fact that this is through no fault of Intamin. It's that pre-show in the middle of the queue completely kills the guest experience. Like, if it was free flow and you just kept going through it, like the best themed part of the whole attraction, you just whiz through it. You don't even see it. It's like you're basically the Flash. You just whoosh, straight through. And it's like, well, why did you put all that effort in just for me to walk straight through it? But you're going to make me stand outside, surrounded by 4 white walls and lots of cattle pens. It's like, why is the whole queue not themed to that extent if you're going to have this like slow-moving queue line? It is a great coaster, but I can never get past thinking about it without thinking about that queuing experience. And it's like, if I could just walk on it or queue normally, and it just moves at a steady rate like Velocicoaster, like Taron, like Two Tatis, or Tiger, it'd probably be number one. Yeah. But the fact that every time I think about this magnificent roller coaster, the whole thought process of, I've got to wait in that cattle pen or pay 20 quid to skip that queue. And that is the disappointing thing. But having it for an hour with just 3 of us on it in November was an experience that I will never, ever forget. December, actually. It was December. Sorry, mate. I don't know if they still offer that experience, but to be fair, we have been talking to them about an exclusive ride time session on it for an hour. So I just need to sign on the dotted line, and then you can all come and join us and ride this excellent coaster. So what's your number 2?
Gotham City Escape. I'm being grinning there in the background. I think that I say it's ride experience that I'm going on here. I
haven't realised what your number 1 is. Oh.
Yeah, I've actually now realised what my number 1 is.
I think I knew what it was anyway.
Okay. Well, you have to wait and see. I agree with the queuing experience is not fantastic on Gotham City, but the actual ride hardware is fantastic. Even though it's got the shorter train, the launches, particularly even the first one when you have the Joker over you, that launch going out just really gets you in the mood for the ride.
Yeah, it does.
Every element after that is fantastic, and right to the very end. And I don't want to be like a spoiler if anyone's not done it, but I'm going to say anyway. When you go through at the end of the ride and the ending, and the track just ends.
Yes.
And you stop just in time.
Yeah.
And then you see that Batman's actually caught the Joker, and you have the turntable to put you back in the station. And I just find the technology behind that just really good. Yeah. I thought it was a really exciting roller coaster. It's the first roller coaster, like even on Velocicoaster, I don't have my arms up because, it's just a little bit too crazy. Whereas like Gotham City is a little bit smaller. And I had my arms up all the way around, fully enjoyed it. And like the 0G stalls, I don't normally like the hang time, but you don't get the hang time. It's like weird. It's like 0G, like proper 0G all the way through the element. Fantastic. I love it.
Like when I saw that being built, I was like, oh, we're getting Velocicoaster in Madrid. I was like, I'm going to be there all the time. And then the testing videos came out, and I'm watching it going, why is it so slow? Like through some of these elements, I'm looking at it going, this doesn't look particularly good. And then people that were talking about it saying they were watching it there and locally, like there's a channel called Dream Coaster, he covers Park Warner a lot, and he was messaging saying don't be like, he'd not been on it yet, but he was like, it looks faster in real life. I was like, okay, fair enough. And then we went to the launch event on the Friday before it opened, and even still I was at Park Warner all day and I was watching it going, have I overhyped this in my head? And then I did it the first time, I was like, that might actually be the best roller coaster I've ever been on. Yeah. And every time I go on it, I have that same thought of like, this might actually be the best roller coaster in the world, because, and I know many people will probably think it isn't, but that's my opinion. It does everything I like in a roller coaster. And the ejector airtime on after the top hat is just sensational. It's just the way it flings you out of your seat to the point where you're like, I am actually coming out of my seat a lot here. And it's like, oh, I want to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and book flights in a minute.
To be fair, I think that it is my best roller coaster in the world.
We're going. Now, let's go. Sorry, everyone. He's off. Manchester Airport's only 10 minutes away.
I'm joking. But no, I do think that when it comes to roller coaster hardware, it is the pinnacle of roller coaster hardware. And to me, it is the best roller coaster in the world for me. So that means that my number 1 is not actually a roller coaster.
I don't know what your number 1 is.
You expected Condon to be there, but I left it out on purpose to keep you.
No, I thought you were going to say Hagrid's.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, Hagrid's is very good, but no, it's not on there.
I suppose I better tell everyone what my number 1 is. It's probably a bit obvious at this point, but it is Velocicoaster, and I think I'm basing it off the whole package. And when I sat and wrote this list the other day, I was looking at it going, Gotham City Escape, Velocicoaster. And I was just sat there going between the two in the end. And then I thought, the thing that probably sells it for me with Velocicoaster is the top hat. The airtime when you go over the top hat is just sensational. And that inversion over the lake is like, it is probably the most terrifying roller coaster experience because you genuinely feel like you are going in the lake. Yeah,
it's such a long train as well.
Yeah, it is.
So like you get a different sensation at the back to the front, and even the middle like offers a different sensation as well. Like, and it's great no matter where you sit.
Yes.
Like, no matter where you are, if you are in the middle, you're still going to have a fantastic time. If you're at the back, you're going to have a fantastic time. If you're at the front, you're going to have a fantastic time. That makes a fantastic roller coaster to me.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Gotham City is the same. No matter where you sit,
Yeah.
you're gonna have a great ride experience. And as long as roller coasters are like that, that's what I like.
Yeah.
I hate this. Or you must be at the back for it to be good, or you must be at the front to be good.
There's quite a lot of coasters that I could quite happily talk about that I'm not going to, that are not Intamin, where people have said they're the best roller coaster in the world, and they've hyped them and hyped them and hyped them. And when you go on it and you write on Twitter or X as it is now, and you say, oh, it's not as good, and they come back and they say, oh, you need to sit on this seat at this time of the day in this weather, it's like, it's not very good then. It's too reliant on other things to be good. Whereas Gotham City Escape, brilliant all day. Velocicoaster, brilliant all day. Even that day we did it when it was actually quite chilly in Florida on our my last day on the last trip. And we did it early in the morning. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning because it was on early access to the park with hotel and pass holder stuff. And we were on one of the first trains of the day, and there was about 4 people on the train, and it was still incredible. It is an incredible, incredible roller coaster. I remember watching the construction like every day on Midway Mayhem.
Yeah, no, same.
Because obviously it was COVID, and like they were putting a video out every day, and we've shouted out so many channels today, and I'm here for it because they're all great channels. And Midway Mayhem's another one, and it covered the construction of Velocicoaster like perfectly. Like every little detail was covered. It's probably why Universal didn't say anything about it for so long. This guy's doing our job here, and it's like just let him get on with it. But it's just literally incredible. Like I loved watching the coverage of it being built, testing, then the official stuff come out, the train reveal, the marketing. Oh, it's a great coaster. I'm not going to say let's go because it's expensive.
Even the queue's fantastic, isn't it? Like when you're queuing up for it, it builds up to that experience. And you see the coaster kind of come racing past as you're queuing with the Raptors chasing the coaster car. It just really gets you ready for that experience.
The outdoor queue's good though as well, because obviously you can see it from everywhere in that queue, and it's just constantly whizzing past you.
I've only been in there once,
Have you?
Because their operations are just so good. Like, I've never had to wait in it, so they've always been like getting them trains out. So, and that's a testament because it's not a big train really. I know it's long, but like they do get them trains out quickly, and I think the design of the train helps with that as well. So, those trains are fantastic. So my number one, I've got 2 because one of them doesn't exist anymore. So my number 1 was Apocalypse at Drayton Manor as a drop tower.
I thought you were going to say Top Fill Dragster.
No. And to be fair, Apocalypse was like, I remember the first time I went on it and I was absolutely terrified.
Oh, I remember, so was I.
Absolutely terrified. And having that stand up with the floor, particularly that side, was something else because when that thing dropped, the weight of the gondola, it dropped. Yeah. Like, you had floater all the way down until you got to the brake. And the brakes were so low down that you literally kind of stopped just as you kind of got to the port position. So to me, that was just a fantastic drop tower. I think it's the best drop tower I've ever done. Sadly not there anymore. So I am going to go with one that is still around, and I'm going to say Falcon's Fury, Busch Gardens Tampa, is my replacement for Apocalypse at the moment, and it is absolutely fantastic. Although it's not quite as got the same kind of floating airtime. It is when you're at the top of that tower and the gondola is so big and everyone's just looking at the floor. It's quite scary. Having that experience of just like looking straight down at the floor, it really is terrifying because like it's so tall. And on that one, the structure is quite. You've got a lot of stuff on it going on, so it almost feels like I don't want to say it gives you the sensation of it being unstable, but it isn't. It's actually very, it is very safe. You feel very exposed on it. And it's
terrifying. There's no other way of putting it. I mean, I'm sure Intamin won't mind us saying it's terrifying. It's designed to be scary. It's not designed to be a children's ride. You just go. It's not Postman Pat, is it? Let's be honest.
But like, it does get that adrenaline going, and every time I come off it, I'm like. I need to have a sit down for a little bit. I would like to take a moment, if that's okay, to do some honourable mentions of other coasters.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to add in that El Toro is a fantastic Intamin wooden roller coaster. We haven't mentioned any of their wooden roller coasters. It does get overlooked quite a lot.
Balder.
Fantastic. Balder's another fantastic wooden roller coaster. And also like Conda, which is an amazing roller coaster as well. All fantastic. To be fair, it's hard to decipher which ones are going to make it into the top 10 because if I think about it from a different perspective, Conda could easily like take that number 3 spot or number 2 spot. You know,
I thought it'd be your number 1.
I did
that
enjoy it.
Velocicoaster.
I really enjoyed Conda. I really enjoyed Gotham. I enjoyed Gotham City more probably, but yeah, no, I think it is hard to say because they are really good roller coasters. And to be fair, I've only done like a drop in the ocean of what they've put out there. There's loads more I need to do.
Yeah. So that brings us to the end of this Intamin-focused episode of the Dispatch podcast here on Your Experience Guide. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. If you have, please hit the like button. It's a little thumbs up below. Please subscribe. Please comment. Tell us what your favourite Intamin coaster is and tell us where you'd like to see an Intamin coaster in the UK. How about at Universal, if that park ever happens or resort ever happens? That would be fantastic.
Yeah, we do need one of these Intamin multi-launch coasters somewhere.
Absolutely. But for now, that's all from us. So once again, a massive thank you to Intamin. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Let's go part 1. Come on, let's go.